In reality, as I've told you earlier this week, Donald Trump has no leverage with China in this misguided, haphazard, never ending, endlessly escalating trade war with China. Trump's tariffs are destroying farmers, among other workers in the United States. There's no serious plan to off ramp from the tariffs. But Donald Trump has to pretend that he's winning because he's got nothing else. He at least needs to try to communicate confidence because the reality is far different. So Donald Trump made up, just concocted out of thin air, that China called him desperate to start trade talks so that they can stop all the losing that Donald Trump is causing them. Now, as I've told you before, the reality is that this trade war is far worse for the United States than it is for China. I won't rehash that entire conversation, but we discussed that earlier this week. But the real problem with Donald Trump claiming that China called him desperate to restart trade talks to end the trade war is that it didn't happen. Trump's tariffs and trade belligerence have been making the stock markets go crazy. It's bad economically. It's bad for all sorts of different participants in the American economy. So Trump says, hey, no worries. China's coming around. China called us and they said, please, let's start trade talks right away. The problem is it doesn't exist. I mean, it just didn't happen. Trump said during the last day of the G7 in France earlier this week that China, quote, called our top people Sunday night to, quote, get back to the table on ending the trade war. Trump's Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin, repeated that they have been contacted by Chinese officials. And then the Chinese government multiple times said, yeah, it just didn't happen. There was no such call. The last call that China had with the United States was something like 2 weeks ago. Nothing that Trump says can simply be believed. Donald Trump is also now saying that Melania Trump has developed a relationship with Kim Jong-un, even though they've never met. I'll talk about that later in the show. But nothing that the guy says can be believed. And the problem with all of this is that it's very easy for Trumpist defenders to hear that Trump fabricated that this phone call took place. And their retort is, listen, all politicians lie. All politicians lie. And this is one of the really disturbing false equivalencies that we've seen under this sort of post-truth, alternative facts, fake news era under Donald Trump. All politicians lie. So the specific lies and provable lies that Donald Trump tells really aren't a big deal. The Trumpist defenders live in this fantasy world where they equate something like, I will work tirelessly to reduce the deficit. And then it doesn't work out. The deficit goes up. They equate that to China called me desperate to restart trade talks when there was no such phone call. I've said before, I don't excuse any lying, but there are politician lies and there are provable, brazen, factual lies. And these are two different things. Who do you believe on this one? It's crazy to say it. I believe the Chinese government. I don't believe that this phone call took place. I actually know people in my personal life who lie the way that Donald Trump lies. I try not to associate with them because they are just so toxic. But there are liars like Trump who have been kind of in and out of friend groups that I've been in. And the lies are so brazenly attention seeking or for self-aggrandizement. The thing that these liars hate the most is when people don't care. They don't even argue. They just ignore it altogether. I actually remember someone I knew who would lie about just stupid things. I mean, provably false things. There was this person who once said, hey, I got into Northeastern University Medical School in Boston, but I chose not to go. Now, I know Northeastern has no medical school. I mean, there's no Northeastern Medical School. It doesn't exist. But I don't care. I would just say, oh, all right, that's cool. And then I would continue the conversation with other people in the group. And it infuriates these Trumpian liars when you just don't care about their lies and you ignore them. There's someone else I remember who said it was just such a whopper, something like, my glasses cost $1,200 because they're made of some special material. I know they're lying. I know there is no such thing, but I don't care. Oh, yeah, $1,200 glasses? Cool, yeah. I wear contacts. That's it. Move on to the conversation. They hate it, and they increasingly need to be the center of attention, the more their lies are ignored or not taken seriously. And maybe that needs to be the approach in dealing with Donald Trump. Maybe there needs to be some lesson. Maybe there's some lesson in how I've dealt with these pathological brazen liars in my personal life that could be applied to Donald Trump. I don't know what the answer is, but the lies are getting more easily provably false. Not that I had a record-setting turnout at my inauguration was not provably false, but maybe there needs to be a different approach in dealing with some of these lies. Make sure you're following the David Pakman Show on Instagram. Excuse me, as I punch my mic. People recommending I get a totally different mic setup to avoid punching it, but we're looking into that. Follow the David Pakman Show on Instagram at David Pakman Show. And while you're there, follow me on Instagram at david.pakman. Incredible reviews of the Portuguese dog named Pulga, who watches the David Pakman Show daily. I posted a video of this dog to my Instagram page yesterday at david.pakman. Follow me there. We will take a quick break and be back right after this.